Alright, so we're just going to go right into the tutorial. I'm going to first start out by priming my eyes. I'm taking the Painterly Paint Pot by MAC Cosmetics, and today I wanted to try some new brushes from Vanity Planet. So I'm first going to take their concealer brush. I'm going in with the Beauty Killer palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics with the color China White and just setting that eye primer. The next color I'm going to be taking from the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Beauty Killer palette is in the color Courtney. This is a beautiful transition shade, and since we are doing a bunch of colors on the eyes today, I wanted to have something a little bit more neutral in the transition. I'm taking that on a Morphe E27 brush and just buffing that out. Now we're going to start adding some colors. So I'm taking my Morphe E28 brush and going in with the color Star Power from that same Beauty Killer palette and just buffing that into the crease a little bit underneath that Courtney shade we put on first. So it's still going to be in the crease and still going to be pretty built up, but you're still going to be able to see that transition shade that we have, so everything blends beautifully. Because when you're using a bunch of bright colors like this, you want everything to blend seamlessly. So that's what we're going to do, is constantly go back in and blend. On that same brush, I'm just going to go in with the Urban Decay Electric palette in the color Jilted. This is a beautiful kind of medium toned purple with a little bit of shimmer in there. I'm just going to build up that pink color we put on before. And then to start adding definition and dimension to the outer corners of the eyes, I'm taking the color Urban on the smudger brush from Vanity Planet. I'm just going to use that brush to kind of place on the color at first, and then I'm going to go back in with my Morphe brush and blend it out to blend a little bit farther into my crease and into my inner corner of my eye. I really liked this brush because it was really dense, so it was able to kind of place the product where I wanted it on the outer corner of my eye in a V shape, and then I liked how I was able to go back in with a different brush and blend it out. I will leave all of Vanity Planet's information down below with a coupon code if you're interested. Next, to add even a little bit more depth, I'm taking the color Vanity from the Beauty Killer palette and using it on a Morphe M506 brush and just really deepening up that outer V right where we put that Urban shade, but making it a little bit more smoky, and then blending everything out with no additional product on my Morphe E27 brush. I'm going to go back in with the color China White and my Vanity Planet concealer brush. I love this brush to pack on shadow on my lid because it's really dense, and you really get the best color pigmentation from your shadow using this brush. So I love this brush, it's really awesome. Next, I'm going to take the Violet Voss glitter adhesive and just kind of place that right on my lid where I'm going to be placing my glitter. This is amazing. It's just like the Too Faced glitter glue. It's actually a little bit more tacky and a little bit more liquidy, and it has a little bit of a better applicator so you can precisely place down where you want your glitter. For glitters today, I'm using that Eye Candy Cosmetics glitter in the color Tiny Tart F. I don't know exactly what that means. I think that's the size of the glitter I'm using, but I love the color of this glitter. It's a really bright, fun lilac color, and it's perfect for this look. And all I'm using to place this on is the really small concealer brush from Vanity Planet, and it was perfect to pack on this glitter. While I get my falsies ready, I'm just going to coat my lashes with a quick coat of mascara. This is the Roller Lash by Benefit. This is just a little sample size, but I do really like this mascara. And then I do have some fallout from the glitter and the darker shades we're using, so I'm just going to take a makeup wipe and wash everything away. For lashes, I decided to stack some lashes. I will leave the exact names down below of what I used, and then we're going to move on to the face. So I just wanted to prep my face. I'm using the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer, and then we're going to jump right into foundation. I'm using, of course, the Kat Von D Lock It Tattoo Foundation. I think you guys know how much I love this by now. I should probably stop using it and try something new, but I've just been obsessed with it, and I'm going to be blending that out with my Morphe E6 brush. It's a perfect dense brush to blend out this really high pigment foundation, which I love. For concealer today, I'm using an oldie but a goodie. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I'm just placing that everywhere where I want a highlight under my eyes, a little bit on my forehead, down my nose, a little bit on top of my lip, and then on my chin. And then I'm going to go in with my Morphe G2 brush. This is one of their gunmetal brushes. I love this brush. If I'm not using my damp Real Technique sponge or a beauty blender to blend out my concealer, this is the brush I use because it's super dense and it blends out my concealer beautifully, and it's just so airbrush looking, so I love that brush. Next, I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder and set under my eyes with my Real Techniques contour brush, and then that same powder and a Real Techniques powder brush, I'm going to be powdering the rest of my face. And then moving back to the eyes, I'm going to take that crease shader brush from Vanity Planet and go back in with the color Jilted to place on the outer third of my eye. As you can see, I'm placing the majority of the product on the outer third, and I'm going to blend a little bit towards the inner corner. And then I'm going to take the color Vanity again on a defining eye brush from e.l.f. and just place that right on the outer third. To quickly highlight my brow bone to give it a little more definition, I'm going to take the color China White and again that concealer brush from Vanity Planet. Alright, so now for the fun part, we're going to get into face painting. I'm just taking my CC Beauty face paint kit. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Makeup Forever Flash palette. Definitely not as good quality as that one. I should be spending the money on the Flash palette for Makeup Forever, but it is pretty pricey, and this does a good job for right now for $20 off of Amazon. So all I'm doing with a little defining brush, this is just a face painting brush I got off of Amazon. I'm just going to be outlining where I want my nose to be, and I'm kind of just following along the guidelines where my nose bone would be. And then on a little bit of a bigger brush with more paint, I'm just going to fill that in before I put the color on there. So I'm going to go back in with my electric palette from Urban Decay and that same concealer brush from Vanity Planet. I'm taking the color Urban and just kind of place the color right where I put all that white paint. And then as you can see later on, I'm going to be using again that same brush and the color Star Power from Jeffree Star Cosmetics and place that right on the middle of my nose to give it a little bit more dimension and kind of tie in the eyes with the nose, and the rest of the shadows we're going to be using on our face. Speaking of the face, I'm now going to contour and kind of chisel out my cheekbones. I'm taking the color Vanity from the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Beauty Color Palette. Again, we're using the same colors as we kind of did on our eyes. I'm taking that on a medium blender brush from Vanity Planet to kind of sketch out where I want my bone to be. And then I'm going to be taking the color Jilted from Urban Decay and place that on my Morphe brush and then just blend everything out. I really wanted this part to be a little bit more diffuse, so I should have went in later on and blended everything a little bit more. I did use a kind of stipple brush, as you can see right there. It's just a dual fiber brush to kind of make sure everything's blended, but it could have been a little bit nicer. Now to move on to the fun part. So I told you guys on Snapchat, if you guys don't follow me there, that I had a lot of issues with the first time I did my teeth. So as you can see, I'm just taking that black face paint again from that same kit, and I'm taking lines and then kind of making like Hershey kisses, as people like to say, to kind of create teeth. And I did not like this method. I will show you guys actually what I did later on to kind of fill everything in and what I did that worked better for me. So as you can see, I did the lines first and kind of did the outline, and then I took the same white from that same palette and used a little bit more of a flat shader brush and kind of flicked up my brush, and as you can see, it just made a little bit of a mess. So I didn't really like that very much. It kind of diffused the black with the white, kind of making it gray, so it was really hard to kind of define. Later on, as you can see, it just didn't work out for me. So I'm going to move back onto the eyes before I show you guys how I did the teeth. So I'm just going to take more of that glitter adhesive, put it in the inner corner of my eye, and then I'm going to pack on this eye dust from Jessie's Girl. I think it's in the color Stardust, I believe. It's a beautiful white, like really shimmery color, and I'm placing that on with a Morphe pencil brush. Now this step is totally not necessary, but I wanted to have a little fun and add some dots to my eyes. So I placed 3 dots on the inner corners of both of my eyes, as you can see, just placing some of that black paint from the CC Beauty palette right on the inner corner. So just kind of making sure that they're going to be even on both sides. And then I placed 2 dots underneath my brow bone, right where the arch is of my brow bone, on both sides as well. And then as you can see, I placed little dots right where my winged liner would be, but we don't have winged liner, so that's where they're going to be. Because I wanted my face to have a little bit more definition, I'm going to take my Morphe E27 brush again and take the color Star Power from the Beauty Color palette and just kind of place where I would place my sculpting powder or my contour powder to get my face a little bit more of a slimming effect. I'm just going to blend that out with a dual fiber brush. Alright, now moving on to the teeth that actually worked out for me. So I'm just going to start by lining out where I'm going to place my teeth, and then I'm going to be going in with the flat shader brush again without defining and placing those little lines on my teeth. I'm just going to take the paint and take the flat side of the brush and then flick it upwards when I drag it up. It's obviously a lot easier for you all to watch me do it than me talk you through it, because it's a little confusing at first, but it's really easy once you get it. So all you're going to be doing is placing the brush flat on your cheeks, and then once you drag it downwards, you're going to flip the brush on its side, so you're going to have a little bit more of a tapered effect. And I also made my teeth smaller in the back, so it's more of a shadowed feeling. Next, I'm going to go back in with that really small definer brush and the black paint, and then go back into each middle of my tooth between each one and shadow them in, and then drag a little bit more of the black downward so it kind of creates that light gray. I found this technique so much easier than the first one because, like I was mentioning before, the white was just going to mix in with the black that was already on my face, and it made a really dirty gray. So I would highly recommend this technique over the last one if you are a little bit more of a perfectionist like me. I still liked the first teeth that I did, but I think these ones turned out way better. It would have also been probably much easier if you wanted to do the first technique using like a liquid liner, so it's not going to move and the paint is not going to mix in with the black. But I liked using the paint because if I messed up, I can just kind of wipe it away away, which is exactly what I did after I did my first teeth. So this was my easiest technique and I really liked how it turned out. And then I actually took some glitter. This is by Star Crush Minerals. It's in the color Nirvana. It's a beautiful like white with duochrome effect to it. It's like a halographic glitter. It's really, really pretty. So I'm just going to place it on with that same brush I used to put on my teeth. And I'm just placing it right on top of the white paint. I didn't need to use a glitter adhesive or anything because the paint was kind of tacky, which was helpful because I didn't want the glitter to go anywhere and I didn't want the paint to go anywhere. So that worked out. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of the black paint and just kind of redefine my teeth. And then to finish off the look, of course, I had to highlight. So I'm taking Laura Geller's Gilded Honey with my Anastasia A23 brush. And then this look is complete. I hope you all really enjoyed this easy glitter skull look. I had so much fun creating this and I hope you guys liked it. I hope you all have a fun and safe Halloween and I'll see you all in my next video.